refrigerate your food saver. I'll be demonstrating how to vacuum package in food saver bags as well as other vacuum storage containers. You may not have all of the accessories that I'm going to show you, but I want you to be aware of all the food storage options available with your food saver. And any of the accessories I'll be showing you can be ordered by calling the toll-free number on your screen or visiting our website at www.foodsaver.com. Now, during this video, you'll see how the food saver removes the air that's the major cause of food spoilage, so your foods will stay fresh and without freezer burn 3 to 5 times longer. And with the food saver, you'll not only save your food, but you'll also save time and money. And always remember that vacuum packaging is not a substitute for refrigeration. Perishable foods, or those that say refrigerate after opening, will still need to be refrigerated after they've been vacuum packaged. But they'll stay fresh tasting 3 to 5 times longer than if you hadn't vacuum packaged them. Now, let's take a look at some of the features of your food saver. Before we get started, I have a couple of important suggestions for you. First, I recommend that you read your food saver user manual. You'll find that it has lots of practical information, and it's particularly important that you read the section about food preparation and storage so you'll know how to safely handle and store your foods. Your food saver also comes with a handy quick start guide. Now, throughout this demonstration, I'll have the food saver facing away from me. That makes it easier for you to see how it works. But when you do this at home, you'll want to have the food saver facing towards you. Now, first I'm going to start by pointing out some of the important features of your food saver. Underneath the lid is the vacuum channel. It's a trough surrounded by a rubber gasket. When you're removing the air from a food saver bag, you need to put the open end of the bag down into this vacuum channel. This strip of Teflon that runs across the food saver is the sealing strip. This heats up to seal the food saver bags after the air has been removed. Underneath the lid, there are also some handy graphics that'll remind you how to use your food saver. Now I'll close the lid and show you the control panel. First, there's the sealing light. It lights up whenever your food saver is in operation. Next to it is the cancel button. If you ever want to stop your food saver while it's in operation, just press this button to stop the motor and unlock the lid. Next is the instant seal button. It's used only when you're vacuuming in food saver bags and you want to interrupt the vacuum process and seal a bag before all the air has been removed. This is the sealing time adjustment knob. It lets you control the sealing time. You'll turn the knob to position 1 when you're vacuum packaging in canisters. Turn it to position 2 when you're vacuum packaging in food saver bags. You'll only turn it to position 3 when you're vacuuming very moist foods, like juicy meats, for example, and you want extra sealing time to seal through the excess moisture that might be in the bag. This is the extended vacuum button. You can use it with food saver canisters to extend the vacuum process and delay the sealing process. And at the far right is the accessory port. You won't use this port when you're vacuum packaging in food saver bags, but you will use it when you're vacuum packaging with other food saver accessories. And finally, underneath the food saver, you'll find a handy storage compartment for the electrical cord. Oh, and by the way, it's never a good idea to use an extension cord with your food saver because it may diminish its power. Now let's get started on the fun part, using your food saver. The most common accessories you'll use with your food saver are the specially designed food saver bags. These are not like any other bag on the market. These bags have patented air channels that remove the air quickly. Plus, the bags are 3-ply with a reinforced outer nylon layer to make sure that once the air is removed, it stays out. Now, food saver bags come in 3 sizes. pint size, quart size, and gallon size. I'm going to use a quart size bag and a block of cheese to demonstrate how to vacuum package in a food saver bag. Now, it's important that the food fits into the bag with about 3 inches to spare at the end, so that there's enough room to vacuum and seal the bag. Open the lid, and you want to curve the open end of the food saver bag down into the vacuum channel. So the open end of the bag needs to be in the vacuum channel. Now, if the end of the bag tends to curve up like this, just turn the bag over, and the curved part will go down into the vacuum channel. You see, it doesn't matter which side of the bag is up. Now, the whole length of the opened end needs to be in the vacuum channel for the air to be removed. So make sure that the bag isn't crooked like this. Now, also make sure that the bag lies smoothly across the sealing strip without any wrinkles where the seal is going to be. Next is simple. All you have to do is close the lid, and using the heels of your hands, just press down to activate the pump. Once it's activated, you can release, and the machine takes over the process. It pulls the air out of the bag, vacuum packages it, and seals it automatically. Once the process is complete, the motor will shut off. That's your signal that it's finished. That's the end of the process. It's finished. All you do is just lift up the lid, and that fast we have vacuum packed the cheese. In addition to the ready-made food saver bags, you can also make your own custom-sized bags using rolls of food saver bag material. These rolls come in 2 widths, 8 inches wide and 11 inches wide. To make a bag, all you do is just cut the roll to any length that you need and then seal one of the open ends. Let me show you how to do that, and I'll demonstrate using this piece of cheese. Now, you can make a bag any size you want. So if you buy one of those really big blocks of cheese from the Warehouse Club store, this is how you make the bag for it. All you do is just lay the bag material out on your counter. Take this cheese that you're going to save and make sure you allow at least 3 inches on the end so it's going to vacuum and seal correctly. Now all I have to do is just cut off the bag material. Take a pair of sharp scissors, and you see these indicators or markings right here on each side of the bag? That's your guideline for cutting a straight line straight across the bag. You want to make sure it's straight so that you have an even seal. Now, I've got a tube of bag material. It's open at both ends. So you can't vacuum package with it this way, you've got to seal one end of the bag. All you do is raise the lid of your food saver and lay the edge of the bag material right here on the sealing strip. Now notice, I don't have the edge of the bag material inside the vacuum channel. We're not vacuuming, we're sealing. So make sure that it's on the sealing strip. I also don't have it laying on top of the black gasket. If you do that, it's not going to make a proper seal. It won't work. So just take the edge of the bag and butt it up against that black gasket. Can you see what I'm doing there? Make sure that it's smooth all the way across the sealing strip. Now you can seal the end of the bag. Close the lid, take the palms of your hands, press down, release. The machine automatically takes over as soon as it activates the pump. It seals the end of the bag. When the bag is sealed, it'll shut off. And that's your clue that the process is finished. Just like that. It releases the lid automatically, and take a look. That fast, we've sealed all the way across the end of the bag. So now I've got a custom-sized bag. Take your cheese, put it in the bag, lay the opened end of the bag in the vacuum channel because now we're going to vacuum pack. Now I've already showed you how to do this with the piece of cheese earlier. I'm going to do it again so you can see it again. Remember that you want to curve the open end down into the vacuum channel. Make sure it's smooth all the way along the sealing strip. Then all you have to do is just lower the lid, take the heels of your hands and press down. That activates the pump. As soon as the pump is activated, you can release. The machine takes over, vacuums out the air. Once the air is vacuumed out, It's going to seal right across the edge of the bag. As soon as the machine shuts off, it's finished. Releases the lid. That fast, we have vacuum packed the cheese in a custom-sized bag. It's great, huh? Now, if you've got more than one bag to vacuum pack, always wait about 20 seconds before vacuuming the next bag. That gives the sealing strip time to cool down between seals. And when you're ready to eat some of your vacuum packaged cheese, it's easy to get back in the bag. All you do is take your pair of sharp scissors and cut right below the seal. Now, you wouldn't want to cut the bag here or here because you're wasting that bag material, because you might want to re-vacuum package it again. So just cut right below the seal, all the way across, making a straight cut, just like that. It's the only part of the bag material you have to throw away. Take out the cheese, eat whatever you like, put back the cheese in the bag, and re-vacuum package it just like I showed you. And don't forget, you can always refer to the graphics underneath the lid. They'll remind you how to vacuum and seal a bag. One of the great features of your food saver is the Instant Seal button. It allows you to control how much air is removed from a food saver bag. This button comes in really handy if you're vacuum packaging soft items like baked goods that would otherwise get crushed in the bag by the force of the vacuum. It's great for things like breads and cakes, muffins, or cookies. Let me show you how to use the Instant Seal button, and I'll demonstrate with a leftover muffin. All you have to do is just lay the edge of the bag inside the vacuum channel. Just close the lid, take the heels of your hands and press down on the lid to activate the pump. When the pump has been activated, release your hands. Watch the bag and press the Instant Seal button when enough air has been removed. Now, timing's important, so you'll need to practice this a few times to get the timing just right. When the machine shuts off, release the Instant Seal button. You see, I've removed some of the air, but not all of the air. And what if you don't want to remove any of the air at all? You just want to seal a bag. Well, your food saver can do that too. Of course, you won't be removing the air, so you won't get any of the benefits of vacuum packaging, but there are times when sealing is all you need. Your food saver can seal strong Mylar type bags like this potato chip bag. For short-term storage, you may want to seal some leftover potato chips to prevent them from getting stale before you eat them the next day. Here's what you do to seal a bag without removing the air. I'll demonstrate with this potato chip bag, but you could seal a food saver bag the same way. Essentially, I'll be doing the same thing I just did when I made a custom-sized bag from the food saver roll. Make sure that you've cut the potato chip bag evenly and straight across on both sides, okay? So you get an even seal. Open the lid of your food saver and lay the edge of the bag right here on the sealing strip. Note that I am not putting it in the vacuum channel. It won't work there. And I don't have it hanging on top of the rubber gasket. It won't work there either. When you're just sealing, you want to have the edge of the bag on the sealing strip, butted up against the rubber gasket, just like that. Close the lid, take the heels of your hands, press down, and release. The machine will automatically seal the end of that bag. When the machine shuts off, it's finished. It automatically releases the lid, and that fast, we've sealed the end of the potato chip bag. Now, be clear about this. You can seal a Mylar type bag with your food saver, but you can't vacuum the air out of it. It's not strong enough for vacuum packaging. When you're sealing without vacuuming, only use Mylar type bags or food saver bags. Don't use other types of bags because the heat from the sealing strip could melt or burn them. I'd like to share a couple of tips with you about food saver bags and rolls. Once you've made a bag, it's always a good idea to check the seal. This is what a good seal looks like. You see how it's even all the way across? There's no wrinkles, so there's no way that air can enter into the bag. If you ever notice that your seal looks like this, with a wrinkle in it, it means your bag wasn't lying smoothly over the sealing strip. This is going to let air inside the bag. If this happens, it's easy to fix. Just cut the bag right below the seal and then re-vacuum package it again. If you find it difficult to get the bag to lie smoothly over the sealing strip, you may not be leaving enough room between your food and the end of the bag. Leave at least 3 inches. You should also make sure that the inside of your bag near the seal area is free from grease and water. You know, when you put something into the bag that's got some liquid in it or is greasy, it can get right here on the bag. That will prevent the bag from sealing correctly. So it's a good idea to wipe the inside of the bag, just the top few inches, with a paper towel after you've inserted any moist or greasy items so that it's clean before you start vacuum packaging. Here's another tip. If you're vacuum packaging meats or fish that have a lot of liquid in them, fold a paper towel and place it between the food and where the seal will be. This will absorb the moisture and prevent the liquids from being sucked into the vacuum pump. Let me show you what I mean. Here I've got a couple of steaks. They might have some extra meat juice in there, and I don't want that juice getting into the pump. So just take a paper towel, place it inside the bag, down from the opening of the bag, far enough so that you can still have a good seal in the bag. Open your machine, lay the edge of the bag inside the vacuum channel, and go ahead and vacuum package the steaks the way I've showed you. And whenever you're vacuum packaging foods with a lot of liquid, make sure you clean out the vacuum channel before you use your food saver. Otherwise, any liquid that collects in the vacuum channel could get sucked into the pump and you could permanently damage your food saver. Here's a tip for soft fruits and berries that are easily crushable. Spread them out on a baking sheet. You can slice them first if you want, and then freeze them for 1 to 2 hours just until they're hard. Then vacuum package them and store them in the freezer. That way they won't get crushed in the bag, and they won't all clump together when frozen. So later on you can open the food saver bag, take out just the amount of fruit that you need, maybe just enough for a fruit pie or fruit salad, and then you can re-vacuum package what's left in the bag for another day. And when you're vacuum packaging vegetables, they should always be blanched first in boiling water or in the microwave, and then stored in the freezer. You'll find instructions on blanching in the food preparation section of your user manual. Blanching is important whenever you're freezing fresh vegetables because it stops the enzyme action that causes vegetables to lose flavor, color, and texture. And if you want to vacuum package vegetables that are easily crushable, you can pre-freeze them the same way you do for soft fruits. But make sure you blanch them first before you freeze them on a baking sheet. That way, you'll be able to store vegetables in meal-sized portions that will be fresh tasting even when they're out of season. Now, here's the secret to vacuum packaging liquids. You can't vacuum package liquids in food saver bags and rolls because the liquid could get sucked into the vacuum pump. But you can freeze the liquids first, then vacuum package them. For example, you can freeze soups and stews in a plastic container or loaf pan so they freeze into a block, just like I've done here. Then remove the frozen block from the container and vacuum package it in a food saver bag. You can even write beef stew right on the edge of the bag so you know what's in here. Now the next time you're too busy to cook, just drop the frozen block, bag and all, into a pot of boiling water to heat, and you'll have hot, fresh-tasting homemade soup or stew in no time. You can also freeze liquids in ice cube trays, then transfer the frozen cubes to a food saver bag, vacuum package them, and store the bag in the freezer, just like I've done here with ice cubes so that I can make ice packs. This is a great way to make ice packs for your cooler. Or you could even freeze homemade broth this way, so you'll always have small amounts available for making soups, gravies, and sauces. And if you'll be vacuum packaging any items that have sharp edges that could puncture the food saver bags, for example, this silverware, wrap the items in a cushioning material, like a folded paper towel, before putting them in the bag and vacuum packing them. And lastly, here are 2 important points when it comes time to thaw your frozen vacuum packaged foods, your meat, fish, poultry, whatever. it's important that you always thaw them in the refrigerator. And don't ever wash and reuse your food saver bags if you have previously used them to store raw meat, raw fish, or raw poultry, or if you use them to store greasy foods, or if you boiled food in the bags. Now it's time for some other great food saver accessories. You should have received an accessory hose with your food saver. This will allow you to use some of the great food saver vacuum accessories. Here are some accessories that I'm sure you're going to love. The food saver vacuum canisters. These canisters come in 3 styles: designer canisters, bulk storage canisters, and the square canister. They're all specially designed to be strong enough for vacuum packaging. You'll probably use the food saver bags mostly for foods that you store in your freezer, but you'll find the food saver vacuum canisters really handy for storing foods in the refrigerator or pantry, or even on your kitchen countertop. The canisters are perfect for those delicate items that could be crushed if they were vacuum packaged in a food saver bag. Things like chips, crackers, or even strawberries. And because you can remove the air from the canisters, they're great for keeping dry foods dry and crunchy, and also for keeping moist foods moist. First, I'll show you how to use the Food Saver Designer canisters. These canisters are sold in sets. There's a 2-piece set, and there's also a 3-piece set. The designer canisters look good on your countertop, so you can use them to store baking supplies or dry goods, and they're great for storing delicate items like strawberries or lettuce in the refrigerator. I'll demonstrate how to use them by vacuum packaging these fresh strawberries. First, make sure that the sealing time adjustment knob is turned to position number 1 so that you can vacuum package canisters. Be sure you leave at least 1 inch of room at the top of the canister, so don't fill it to the top with food, leave 1 inch. Wipe the canister rim to remove any food, oil, or grease. Wipe the gasket on the lid to make sure that it's clean and dry. And then all you have to do is put on the lid, press down so it's on there securely. Take the accessory hose, insert one end into the food saver accessory port right here, and insert the other end into the top of the canister lid. Now, to vacuum out the air, it's simple. Just press down with the heels of your hands on the food saver lid. That activates the pump. Release your hands, the machine takes over. It pumps the air out of the canister just like we pump the air out of a food saver bag. Once the air is all pumped out, the machine will know that and it'll shut off automatically. Just like that. Remove the hose from the canister and we vacuum pack the strawberries. When you want to get back into the canister, all you have to do is just press on the gray button right here, press it and hold it down. That releases the vacuum, the sound of freshness, and that allows you to open up the lid. Now, always remember to remove the accessory hose from your food saver before you vacuum package in food saver bags again. Because if you try to vacuum package in bags while the vacuum hose is still attached, you won't be able to remove the air. Designer canisters can be stored in the refrigerator, in the pantry, or on your countertop. The bases can be washed in the dishwasher, but the tops should always be hand washed. Don't immerse them in water. Just wipe them with a damp cloth. The Food Saver bulk storage canisters come in 3 sizes that are perfect for storing large quantities of food. There's a 2-quart size, a 4-quart size, and a 6-quart size. The bulk storage canisters are perfect for storing all those foods that are cheaper to buy in bulk, but that go stale quickly. You know, things like cereals and cookies, crackers, chips, and pretzels. Because of their size, you'll probably use the bulk storage canisters for dry goods that you store in the pantry. But they can also be used to store perishable items in the refrigerator. I'll show you how to use the bulk storage canisters by vacuum packaging these cookies. Now make sure that you always leave at least 1 inch of room at the top of the canister. It'll tell you right here on the canister where the maximum fill line is. So leave 1 inch of space here. Wipe the rim to make sure there's no food, grease, or oil on it. Wipe the gasket on the canister lid to make sure that it's clean. Place the lid on top of the canister. Turn the knob on the top of the canister so that the arrow points to the word vacuum, because we're going to vacuum out the air from the canister. You also have a sealing time adjustment knob on your food saver. Turn the knob so that it points to position 1. That's the position that you'll use for vacuum packaging all canisters. Take the accessory hose. One end of the hose goes into the accessory port on your food saver. The other end goes into the hole in the knob. Now you can vacuum out the air. Just press down with the heels of your hand on your machine to activate the pump. The machine takes over. It vacuums the air out of the canister just like it vacuum packs a food saver bag. Now you can't see the air leaving the canister, but the machine knows when all the air is out and it shuts off automatically. Just remove the accessory hose and turn the arrow from the word vacuum to the word closed. Check to make sure that the lid is vacuum packed and it's on securely. Now, to open the food saver bulk storage canisters, turn the knob on the canister lid. Pass the word vacuum to the word open. You'll hear the sound of freshness. This will release the vacuum and allow you to remove the lid. It's really important that when you turn the canister knob, you turn along the path of the arrows. Don't ever turn the knob this way. If you do, you're actually loosening the knob. And even a slightly loose knob will prevent you from being able to vacuum a canister. So if you ever have difficulty vacuuming a canister, always check that the knob is screwed on tightly. And always remember to remove the accessory hose from your food saver if you plan on vacuuming in food saver bags next. Bulk storage canisters can be stored in the pantry or in the refrigerator, but not in the freezer. The bases can be washed in the dishwasher, but the tops should always be hand washed. Don't immerse them in water, just wipe them with a damp cloth. The square canister is specially designed to be the right size for marinating. You know, although you can marinate in any food saver canister, the square canister, because of its shape, requires less marinade. The great thing about this canister is that you don't have to remember to marinate everything the night before. The vacuum action allows the pores of the food, you know, your meat, fish, or poultry, to open up. It lets the marinade in. So instead of having to marinate overnight, you can marinate in 20 minutes. I'm going to demonstrate how to use the square canister by marinating these pork chops in a lemon pepper marinade. Make sure the sealing time adjustment knob is in position 1. That's the position for vacuum packing any food saver canisters. Leave at least 1 inch of room at the top of the canister. Now, even though I could add a couple of more pork chops and some more marinade to this dish, I still would want to leave at least 1 inch to the top of the canister. Wipe the rim to make sure that it's clean of any marinade or food. Wipe the gasket on the lid to make sure that it's clean of any marinade or food. And then just place the lid on top. Turn the knob of the canister lid so that the gray arrow on the knob points to the word vacuum, because we're going to vacuum the air out of the canister. Insert the accessory hose into your food saver here at the accessory port. Put the other end into the hole right here on the canister knob. Now we're ready to vacuum out the air. Just press down on the lid. It activates the pump. Let the machine do the work for you. It's going to pump the air out of the canister the same way it pumps it out of a food saver bag. Now, even though you can't see the air leaving the canister, the machine knows when all the air has been pumped out. It shuts off automatically. Remove the accessory hose. Turn the arrow from the word vacuum to the word closed. Make sure that it's sealed securely. It's vacuum packed. Just put this square canister now in your refrigerator for 20 minutes to marinate. Always remember to remove the accessory hose from your food saver if you plan to vacuum package in food saver bags next. Now to open the square canister, turn the knob on the canister lid, pass the word vacuum to the word open. You'll hear it release the vacuum, the sound of freshness, and it'll allow you to remove the lid. Now, transfer the food from your square canister to your cookware for cooking. You see, the square canister isn't designed for cooking, so you can't use it to cook foods. But you can use the base of the square canister in the microwave for reheating foods. The lid can't go in the microwave, but you could use the base to heat up leftovers. To clean up, the base can be washed in the dishwasher, but the top should always be hand washed. Don't immerse the top in water. Just wipe it with a clean, damp cloth. Here are some good tips for using any of the Food Saver vacuum canisters. When you're vacuum packaging powdery foods like flour or even coffee grounds, cut a piece of paper towel and place it on top of the food before you're vacuum packing it. This will prevent the powder granules from being sucked into the vacuum hose. You can even vacuum package foods like soups, stews, and homemade sauces in Food Saver vacuum canisters, and store them in the refrigerator, and they'll taste fresh longer. Just remember that you shouldn't vacuum the liquids when they're still hot because they could bubble over. Let them cool in the refrigerator first before vacuum packaging. And remember that whenever you're vacuum packaging Food Saver canisters, always leave at least 1 inch of space at the top of the canister. Because if you don't, the liquid may get pulled into the vacuum hose and you could permanently damage your Food Saver. Here's a handy accessory that will let you vacuum package foods in their original containers, the Food Saver universal lids. You'll use these to vacuum package foods like pasta sauce or chocolate sauce after you've opened the jar, used some of the contents, and want to store the rest. Universal lids come in 2 sizes, a 5.5 inch diameter and a 4 inch diameter. Why are they called universal lids? Because they're designed to fit jars and cans with a variety different size openings. You can use them on any strong glass jar or even on some cans, like coffee cans, that are strong enough to withstand the force of a vacuum. So how do they work? Well, foods that are sold in jars and cans have had all the air removed so they'll stay fresh longer. As soon as you open the original container, you let the air in, and now your food will start to deteriorate. So if you use only a small portion of what's in the jar or can and then replace the original lid, you're actually locking in the air that's causing your food to go bad. So throw away that original lid and replace it with a Food Saver universal lid. And now you can vacuum package what's in your original jar and preserve the fresh taste. Let me show you how to do that. I'll be using a 4 inch universal lid to vacuum package this jar of peanuts. Throw away the original lid. Turn the sealing time adjustment knob on your Food Saver to position 1. Make sure that the universal lid is wider than the opening of the jar or can. Make sure the rim of the container is smooth and flat with no jagged edges. Make sure the rubber gasket underneath the universal lid and the rim of the container are free from food materials and crumbs. You'll notice that the knob on the universal lid is the same as the knob on the bulk storage canisters and the square canisters. So you'll use it the same way. Just turn it to the word vacuum, because we're going to vacuum the air out of the jar. Place it on top of the peanut jar. Take your accessory hose, put one end into the accessory port on your Food Saver, and the other end into the hole in the knob. Press down with your hands on the lid. As soon as you hear the pump activated, release your hands. The machine does the work for you. It'll pump the air out of the jar. As soon as all the air is pumped out, it'll shut off automatically. Remove the accessory hose from the universal lid. Turn the arrow from the word vacuum to the word closed and make sure it's vacuum packed. Now, if the food is perishable like this pasta sauce, remember to store the jar in the refrigerator. To open the Food Saver Universal lid, turn the knob from closed past the word vacuum to the word open. Listen, a sound of freshness. It's just like you opened it for the first time. You should be able now to remove the lid from the container. The Food Saver Universal lids work best on containers with a diameter greater than 2 inches. Otherwise, the universal lid can easily be knocked off, even though it's been vacuum packaged. So handle with care. And don't ever lift the jar by grabbing the universal lid. And if you use the universal lids on a can and don't plan on using the food within a day or two, transfer the food in the can to a Food Saver vacuum canister. That way, you'll prevent the off flavor that cans transfer to food. Universal lids are easy to clean. Just hand wash them with a mild dishwashing soap and warm water, and dry thoroughly before reusing. Here's another great accessory, Food Saver vacuum bottle stoppers. They allow you to vacuum package liquids in their original bottles. And they're great for things like expensive oils that go rancid very quickly, usually before you've used even half of the bottle. Or you can use them to vacuum package wine. Do you ever open a bottle of wine, then store the other half for later? Well, now you can vacuum package it and you won't lose any of the taste or the wonderful bouquet. Let me show you how the vacuum bottle stoppers work. Turn the sealing time adjustment knob to position number 1 on your Food Saver. Make sure that the neck of the bottle is clean and free of any residue. Make sure that the bottle stopper fits snugly inside the bottle. If it's loose, air may get in. Insert the accessory hose into your Food Saver accessory port. Put the other end into the bottle stopper. Press down on the machine, release as soon as it activates the pump, and it pumps the air out of the wine bottle. Once all the air is pumped out, your Food Saver will shut off automatically. Just like that. Remove the accessory hose from the bottle stopper, and your wine is now vacuum packed. To remove the Food Saver bottle stopper, simply twist and pull up on the bottle stopper to release the vacuum. Listen. That's vacuum packed. You won't want to use the vacuum bottle stoppers with carbonated or sparkling beverages like champagne. You see, the Food Saver will remove the gas, and that's what gives them their fizz. So they'll become flat if you vacuum package them. And don't use Food Saver bottle stoppers on plastic bottles. They're not strong enough for vacuum packaging. To clean the Food Saver vacuum bottle stoppers, just hand wash them. Another accessory is the Food Saver jar sealer. If you want to vacuum package in mason jars, you'll need to use a jar sealer. The Food Saver jar sealers come in 2 sizes, regular and wide mouth. Mason jars are readily available at supermarkets and hardware stores, or you may already have mason jars in your home. They're perfect for pantry staples like rice, beans, flour, or brown sugar, or for your homemade gifts of candy or cookies. Mason jars either have a regular opening or a wide mouth opening. So if you have a regular size mason jar, you'll need the regular size jar sealer. This is a regular size mason jar, so you'll need the regular size jar sealer. If you have wide mouth mason jar, you'll need a wide mouth jar sealer. The wide mouth jar sealer will not work with the regular mason jar. Now let me show you how you can use a Food Saver jar sealer to vacuum package in mason jars. I'm going to demonstrate with brown sugar because vacuum packaging is a wonderful way to keep brown sugar moist. I have a wide mouth mason jar, so I'll be using a wide mouth jar sealer. First, turn the sealing time adjustment knob on your Food Saver to position number 1. Next, you'll need a mason jar and a flat metal mason jar lid. You can usually buy the lids wherever mason jars are sold. You won't need the screw band section of the mason jar lid when you're vacuum packaging. Now before you start vacuum packaging, you need to soften the rubber underneath the metal lid. To do this, bring a pot of water to boil and then turn off the heat. Put the lids in the water and let them soak for 5 to 10 minutes. You'll find these instructions in your user manual. Also, make sure the metal lid of the mason jar is flat and not warped or bent. If it's warped or bent, like these two lids, this one's warped, this one's bent here and here, you won't be able to use these to vacuum pack your mason jar. So for best results, always use a new lid. Make sure there's no food material or crumbs sticking to the rubber underneath the mason jar lid, and make sure there's no food material or crumbs on the rim of the jar. Put the lid on top of your jar, take the jar sealer, place it on top, and press down firmly so it's down all the way around on the jar. It should fit snugly over the jar and not be loose. Take your accessory hose, put one end into the accessory port on your food saver, the other end into the hole in the jar sealer. Now we can vacuum pack the mason jar. Your food saver will automatically pump the air out of the jar. When all the air has been pumped out, your food saver will automatically shut off. Just like that. Remove the accessory hose from the jar sealer. Remove the jar sealer gently from the mason jar and check to make sure that it's been vacuum packed. It is. Now to remove the mason jar lid, just take a spoon and wedge the spoon in between the lid and the mason jar and twist. Now listen. That was vacuum packed. If you do this gently, you'll be able to reuse the lid over and over again. But before reusing the lid, always check that it's still perfectly flat. If it's even slightly warped or bent, you won't be able to remove the air from the mason jar. To avoid accidents, never use a knife to remove the mason jar lid. And don't use a bottle opener because it will bend the lid and you won't be able to reuse that lid again. To clean your food saver jar sealers, just hand wash them using a mild dishwashing soap and warm water and dry them thoroughly before reusing. Now, don't be confused. You can vacuum package in mason jars with your food saver, but you cannot use a food saver for canning. Vacuum packaging is not the same thing as canning. Although it removes the air, vacuum packaging doesn't heat foods. So perishable foods that have been vacuum packaged, like this pasta sauce, even if they've been vacuum packaged in a mason jar, still need to be put in the refrigerator or the freezer. By now, I'm sure you can't wait to start vacuum packaging. Of course, there wasn't time in this video to show you all the Food Saver vacuum packaging accessories, but in the box with your Food Saver, you'll find a catalog that lists all the accessories available. And you can order any of the Food Saver accessories by calling the toll-free number on your screen or visiting our website at www.foodsaver.com. And do take time to read the Food Saver user manual. It has a lot more information than I was able to share with you in this video. I hope you enjoy vacuum packaging with your Food Saver.